Hello friends and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. This video is in the playlist called SQL Concepts Clarified, and here we'll learn the difference between the table and the view. Okay, so first let's learn about table. A table, if I would just make a simplified definition of that, it's a database object used to store data in columns and rows. If you wanted to go a little bit deeper, then we will be talking about relational data. Okay, we will just keep it at that level. Okay, so it's a database object used to store data. Let us look at one such table. So select asterisk from city time. So I'm doing a select statement to query the contents or the records in this table called city time. All right, so we see 25 records in there. We can see it from this message over here, all rows fetched 25. So if you do right click and then count, it will also give you the same thing. Sorry, count rows. So 25 rows. Okay, so we see that there's 25 rows. And if we look at the structure of this table, we can do a shift F4 here in SQL Developer. And it tells you that this has 4 columns: city code, country code, continent code, and UTC. So this is the structure of the table. It has 4 columns in it. Now let's learn about view. A view, let me get the definition just very quickly. I'll close this. A view is a logical representation of one or more tables. It is also a database object. It is. But again, it is also a database object. But how does it differ from a table? In one way, it differs because it's a logical representation of one or more tables. Okay, it's not a physical table though. But if you look at your SQL Developer, which I'm using right now, if you go to the navigator pane on the left and you look after the connection node here, you can go down, you can see tables, and immediately after that is views. So these are database objects: indexes, packages, procedures, etc. Okay, so right at the top 2, you can see tables and then views. Now let's have a look at a sample view I created. Select asterisk from V city time AF. Okay, let's query that. This, when I queried the view without any work conditions, it gives me 5 rows. Now remember that a view is just a logical representation of one or more tables. Okay, I will show you why it's called logical only. But here, when we query the view, we see there are 5 rows. Now, if we will look at the structure of the view, remember I did a shift F4 to have a look at the structure of the table, city time, and it gave us 4, it showed 4 columns: city code, country code, continent code, and UTC, which I will write down here. And now let's look at this view called V city time AF. So I'll look it right at the navigator pane under views. I'll look for that. It's in here. I'll click on that, and it will give me the structure right here in the columns tab. So we can see it contains the same 4 columns that we have seen in the table called city time. So city code, country code, continent code, and UTC. Now that's not a coincidence. I will show you why the table and the view have exactly the same columns, not just the number of columns, but the names of those columns. In fact, even the data types. Okay, it's because this view, if you remember the definition, a view is a logical representation of one or more tables. Now in SQL Developer, you have this. Once I click on the view, it opened up this couple of tabs here, some information about the view itself. So when you look for the SQL tab, this somewhere here, and click on that, and in a while it will show you the DDL, the data definition language, or the create statement that was used to create this object, the view. So you can see that it is a view: create, replace, view system. That's the order. This is the object name, V city time AF, and then in parentheses it specifies the column names, right? And then as, it's a keyword, select statement. So if I will make it simple, the create statement, which is used to create a view, is just create or replace view, and then the view name, and then optionally you can mention the columns, and then you have the as, and then you proceed with the select statement. So meaning whatever you see as the contents of the view are actually the result set. It is the output of the execution of this select statement over here. Again, if you look at the DDL, if you look at the SQL of a view, which we're looking at right now, that will tell you how the view gets its data. It is via a select statement, which is querying one or more tables. In this case, it's querying from the table called city time. Okay, this is the reason why when we looked at the structure of the table city time and we look at the structure of the view, which is this v city time AF, they have the same contents. No, the same structure, same columns. Okay. Okay, the other thing, so that's a view. The other thing is that when we did select of the table, we saw 25. Let me get that again so you can see. Okay, I'll close this and then I'll execute this too. Highlight them all and then execute them both. So it gives me the data, I mean the output of both the table. This one is the table and this one is the view. So I click on this. This is the table. It has 25 rows in it. You can see it here and you can see it here also. 25. While the view has 5 records. But remember, the view is a logical representation of one or more tables. And we looked at the SQL of this view. It is actually referring to the table called city time. So in effect, what you see in a view is potentially a subset of whatever are the contents of the table it is pointing to. Right. So if you look at this, where's that view? I'll click on the view again. And I click on the SQL tab. You can see it's a subset of whatever is the content of the city time table because of this work condition. It is not displaying everything. That's why when you come here, the table contains 25 rows. You see that the 25 here, and you see it here, count rows, 25. But when we look at the view, which refers to the table, here, the output is only 5 records. You see, 25 table, the view only has 5. It could have 25, depending on how you constructed the select statement for that view. But in my case, the view is only showing a subset of whatever is in the table being referred to, because if I look at the SQL, at the DDL, data definition language of that view, you can see I have a work condition here. So select blah, blah, blah from the city time table where continent code equals F. This is the one that reduces or filters out the data in the city time. That is why when we look here, the output of the table is 25 records, while with the view only 5 records. Okay, so we have seen the difference between a table and a view. Just for a summary, I will be pasting in here the main differences between a table and a view. This is not all, but this is a good high-level view. Table, it's a database object. A view is also a database object. A table you can query a table using a select statement. A view, you can also query a view using a select statement. The difference is that a view is just a logical representation of one or more tables. A table is the table itself, it's referring to that. Whereas a view, when you query it, you're actually looking at the underlying data of the table or tables being referred to in the select statement, plus including the where condition that you have, if any, that have been mentioned in the DDL, in the data definition language, in the create statement of that field. Okay, so there you go. I hope you have seen quite a useful list of things to note on what's the difference between a table and a view. Thank you for watching and listening. If you haven't subscribed, please click subscribe, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.